Hello and welcome to Monday's edition of Movie News here at MBE. Just like to thank you once again for joining us here on our YouTube channel and of course our Twitch stream. It is appreciated, by the way, and we all hope you had a lovely weekend as well. Joining me as always is co-hosting, it's John C. Walsh.
Yes.
And John, we're going to start the show on a bit of a sombre note. For some, you see it as a celebration of life, which I can get. Yeah. It's all about Sean Connery, who passed away over the weekend. Now, before I get into the article, what was your reaction first when you found out this news? I'll tell you mine first and then I'll let you in so you can have a lengthy discussion on it.
It was my dad who told me that Sean had passed away, and obviously we were speaking about him fairly recently. We always like to do a joke on his accent and stuff like that. Just the infamous accent he's got, shaken, not stirred and stuff like that. So it was quite a surprise, even though I knew he was old. Yeah. I knew he was 90 odds. I think he's 90, clearly. He wasn't 90 odds. So it's always a surprise when you hear that people like this have passed away. But yeah, he told me, and I was like, whoa, he's passed away. But then, Stephen, as I said, I don't like to be too sombre when it's people like Sean Connery or an Ennio Morricone who passed away earlier this year as well. Yeah. Because these guys have lived long and celebrated lives. They have changed the world demonstrably with their careers. So I don't like to be too sombre when it's people like this. Also, a Chadwick Boseman passing away a couple of months ago. Yeah, exactly. A young man in his prime, 42, whole career ahead of him. That was a shock. It really shook me when you told me that he'd passed away. I was stunned. It took the wind out of my lungs. But when it's this Connery, I like to celebrate what this man's brought. He's the greatest James Bond of all time. He's been in so many great movies over the course of his career. And the fact he was retired 13 years or 17 years as well. He hadn't done a movie since 2003.
Yeah, the only thing he did,
the limelight,
he did one little voice thing, I think, in a 2012 Scottish animated film, John. But apart from that, you're right. I think it was The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. From 2003, I'm sure, was his last outing, and it's one of those. It's funny because for such an icon and not being around, on film for that amount of time, you don't miss him. I don't mean it in an insensitive way or anything. I just mean exactly. And the films that he was in are so memorable. It just lasts a lifetime, and his legacy will live on as well. But I'm just going to
rewatchability as well, Stephen.
Yeah, exactly.
Likes of Indiana Jones and stuff like that. These movies, you can watch them again and again. The Rock as well. We'll get into these movies though. Yeah, I'm sure.
Do you think he retired too early, John?
I think he did. Absolutely. 83.
Yeah.
No, 73. It would have been. Yeah. So way too early. The guy had at least another 10 years of movie making in him. But look, I like it when actors or artists in general get out when they're on the top. Yeah. We've seen it with the Beatles. They stopped after 1969. They were on the top of their game. Other bands round about that era went on a lot longer, and they're sort of
some of them are still going.
And the Stones are still going.
The Who.
And the output waters down quite a bit. I mean, we've seen it with all those great acts from the 60s. So when you go out on the top, there's something about it. You remember John, them when they were at their best.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think there's only a handful of actors from that era of the 60s and 70s who are still doing their trade today.
Michael Caine.
Yeah, Michael Caine, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, they'll phone in performances at times, Anthony Hopkins, etc. But
I'm worried about Caine, Stephen, I can't lie.
Michael Caine,
that Tenet performance really concerns me. His speech and stuff like that, I'm getting really worried because he's another hero figure of mine. I've loved that guy in so many movies.
Before I read this article then, John, it's Michael Bay who's paying tribute to Sean Connery. What was your standout performance? I think it'd be easy for Ennis to say, one of the Bond films or something like that, but out with James Bond, I think we'll move beyond Bond, because certainly Sean Connery did. Yeah. He didn't hang around, just like you said, John. He could have made a career of playing Bond for the rest of his life, really.
Steve, he's done so many genres.
Yeah.
The guy was such a wide-ranging actor. He'd done everything. Drama, action movies, he'd done everything, man. I think The Untouchables, it was just such a cool performance in that. And then obviously Last Crusade, was it? Just fantastic the way he came in and really added something to the performance of Harrison Ford in that movie. The relationship, they weren't speaking initially, I don't think, and then they bonded and sort of get back to that sort of great paternal relationship at the end.
The age difference between them was, I think, maybe less than a decade, and they were playing father and son. Yeah. But they played it so well, didn't they?
That's hair loss for you, Steve.
It was believable as well, though. It wasn't. He had a white beard as well, and the glasses. But and obviously, It's Harrison Ford. The guy doesn't age like a normal man.
Steve,
anyway,
he's still in better shape than
he's
flying
fatter than me.
planes.
Yeah,
He's crashing
he's
golf
sharp
courses.
as a tack. But I'm going to just read this article, John. This is
The
coming
Rock
in
as well,
from
Stephen.
Yeah, The Rock was a good performance as well.
Michael Bay.
I think probably for me, The Hunt for Red October.
See, I've not seen it. I need to watch
it's a
it.
good film. Or I'd probably say The Untouchables as well. Him and Kevin Costner
Fantastic.
were amazing in that film.
Although Irish accent, I think he was playing an Irishman though.
Yeah,
an
Malone,
Irish American.
Yeah, cop.
But,
yeah.
It's a great movie, Steve. Fantastic.
He's one
movie.
of these guys that gets away with it though. Very much like Liam Neeson. He doesn't really have to try too hard with accents. You know, you can.
Steve, when you're 6'2" and you're a borderline Mr. Universe, and you're as charismatic as Sean Connery, balding guy walks about with a kilt on, getting knighted.
John, that's
and
right.
he looks
you
amazing.
Forget as well, he was a unit back in the day as well, wasn't
Steve,
he?
he's a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
That famous story that Michael Caine always tells about him going out to a nightclub with him, and a group of drunken men shouting and hurling abuse at women on a stage, and he told them to hold his coat, and he went and beat the living shit out of 4 men. 4 men. I think it was him. I can't recall the other guy. I'm trying to get the article up, but there was some other famous actor at that time out with him, and it was just
the man who would the king, John, is another one.
Yeah,
which is a very good film.
Great ending.
It's one of those films you always get back to, isn't it? And it's always on TV around about Christmas time as well. But Michael Bay pens tribute to Sean Connery after the James Bond legend's death. Now, I'm just going to read a couple of quotes from Michael Bay. And following the loss of Sean Connery over the weekend, Michael Bay has written a brief piece for The Hollywood Reporter where he has taken some time to talk about the experience of directing Sean Connery on the set of The Rock. For Bay, it wasn't simply that he got to work with a great actor, but he also learned a lot from him. Bay explains, and this is what he said. He said, "He was a legend. We all have a few teachers in our careers, the ones that imprint something special on your being, teachers that you haven't seen in 20 years, but you still remember their wisdom like yesterday." I know what he means. Sean Connery was one of those for me. And then he went on to say, I'll just scroll down here, John. He did it because he loved movies, he loved excellence and doing the best he could. His work ethic was bar none the best I've ever experienced. Now, Michael Bay has worked with so many terrific actors over the years, you know, and when it says a lot, you know, about Sean Connery that even after all this time, it has that lasting effect on an accomplished director like Michael Bay.
Stephen, is it 24 years?
Yeah,
since The Rock. I've not
something
even brought
like
a graphic up.
Yeah.
I mean, Stephen, for me, Michael Bay's best movie to this day remains The Rock.
Yeah.
Nick Cage, amazing performance. And again, bouncing off of Sean Connery, this older, wiser figure, the bickering back and forth. It was a brilliant movie. And Ed Harris, when Ed Harris is playing a villain, you're immediately transfixed because he's just an amazing actor. And in that period, he was doing the likes of Apollo 13 and stuff like that. He was really at the top of his game at that point, Ed Harris. So that was just a great movie for me. And it's great. I think that speaks volumes for Sean and what the kind of legacy he has, that he left such a long-lasting impact on the likes of Michael Bay, who's he's a big blockbuster director. You might not like his input on the likes of Transformers and stuff like that, but he's left a 20-odd year, 30-year legacy, an imprint on a guy like that. And this is something you've seen throughout the course of Hollywood. Big names coming out and speaking about him. Jackie Stewart, from a completely different world. Yeah. F1 driver, he's come out and spoke. He's good friends with him. Michael Caine, Daniel Craig's come out. There's so many different people come out and spoke about how important this guy was to them in terms of acting as a mentor figure, just as an inspirational figure in general. I think that speaks volumes. Stephen, slightly sidetracked, man. Bond, I mean, I know we're not the biggest Bond fans, but my most watched Bond movies are Sean Connery's. I think he's the greatest Bond of all time. There's something about it. 50 years these movies have been out now. I think he's done 7. He, for me, is the ultimate Bond. There's no one better in the role. I mean, we've seen umpteen, Roger Moore, and I always screw up the names. Timothy Dalton.
That's that. Not Roger Dalton.
Not Roger Dalton. And we've seen certain, obviously, Pierce Brosnan. So, for me, he's the greatest Bond of all time. And that
George Lazenby as well.
Yeah, that's who he's always going to be connected with in terms of cinematic output. But, Stephen, the other thing I would add, obviously, he's a great Silver Scot as well, so we have got a bit of bias in this. The guy was voted the greatest ever Scot, and his backstory, we've not even touched upon that, Stephen. Working class, sort of starting life in Edinburgh, living in a shared tenement building, I should say, shared toilet with multiple other households. Goes from that, working normal jobs, to being an absolute superstar. You says it.
And living in Bahamas.
The first superstar One of the very first superstars of Hollywood, living in the Bahamas.
So, yeah. Well, certainly one that's non-American.
Yeah.
Which would have been very rare back in the day. But he just made that mark. He stamped the characteristics of his acting on that character, and it must have been very hard for Roger Moore to come in and take that character. But Roger Moore, to be fair to him, took it in a different direction. He knew what he was doing. He said, I'm not going to try and replicate obviously what Sean Connery's doing. I'm paraphrasing here, and he was going to make that character his own, and he certainly did, but it's a very hard thing to do, to follow in that man's footsteps.
Absolutely. Stephen, look, the final thing I would say, man, I'm going to go off on a slight rant here.
Social media.
Yeah. And I understand the guy had some issues, sort of obviously domestic abuse allegations and stuff like that. We've seen this with John Lennon as well. Human being, my dog's farting here, absolutely horrendous. Smells wafting up to my nose here. Stephen, I hate this. I hate this part of society now.
It's
where
not about right and wrong or anything.
I mean, everyone has to be holier than thou. Perfect individuals.
Certainly.
You can't make a mistake in your life. It was different times back then. People could grow from their mistakes, and I'm sure the guy realised it was a mistake what he'd done, and he grew as a better individual for it. And I hate seeing this when people die. We've seen it with the likes of Kobe Bryant too.
They can't defend themselves.
Immediately, people coming out and criticising what they've done 30, 40 years ago, 10 years ago.
Well, John,
without just letting the guy, he wasn't even
most of the
yet.
stuff that I've read on social media about Sean Connery, about the whole hitting a woman thing, I didn't know about till Saturday. I don't remember reading about any of this on Twitter Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday last week or anything like that. These people are not right in the head, let's be honest with
seekers.
You. They put themselves on a pedestal because nobody else will. Nobody will pay attention to them. And
you just hope, Steve, they don't make a mistake in their lives.
Yeah, exactly.
They're going to get
and
cancelled.
I'm not saying that I agree with what Sean Connery's saying.
No.
I certainly don't. But it's just strange timing for me. It's once the person passes away, people like to dig the dirt. That's just
I despise
it.
I absolutely despise it, and it's something that needs to be just riddled.
Social media,
not riddled, kicked out of society. It is riddled in society. It's riddled in social media. People, these little perfect individuals who never make a mistake in their life, and they wait until someone passes away before they like to stick the boot in. Obviously, it's okay if it's a Jimmy Savile or something, but if the person's righted the wrong and they're an absolute superstar like Sean Connery.
Now you've mentioned that name, we're going to move on very swiftly before we get down a rabbit hole.
Jimmy!
Scott Derrickson directing Blumhouse thriller Black Phone. This is coming in from Empire, John. Now, I read the description of this just before we came on air to you, and it's right down Blumhouse's street as well. Now that he's no longer involved with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, director Scott Derrickson is turning his attention back to his first cinematic love, full-on horror, and he's headed back into the welcoming arms of the Blumhouse team, signing up to co-write an adaptation of Joe Hill's short story The Black Phone. Derrickson's regular collaborator Robert Cargill will also work on the script for the film, which will star Mason Thames and Madeleine McGraw. Hill's story, which appears in his 20th Century Ghost collection, sees a man locked in a basement that's stained with the blood of half a dozen other murdered children. In the cellar with him is an antique telephone, long since disconnected, but which rings at night with calls from the dead.
Fantastic, man.
It's so simple, but it's
See, I just love that name.
Yeah,
Robert Cargill. Cargill. I can't say the name. Sounds like a right Scottish name to me.
Yeah, I think it is, John.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was thinking of Robert Carlyle. We were poorer than poor. Another hero. But Steve, man, this sounds amazing. This is the perfect collaboration. I'll go to myself briefly. I'm not going to linger too long because the last time I lingered on myself, there was a mistake happened.
Yeah, we remember that one.
And I nearly ended myself. I nearly ended my MBE career, if you like. There was nearly no coming back from that. So I'll not linger too long, but this is the perfect collaboration, Stephen. Scott Derrickson is a man who understands the horror genre acutely. He also done the first Strange movie, Doctor Strange movie, and I like to think that is the first sort of horror movie meets the MCU. We've seen it with these comic book superhero movies. They've started dabbling in sort of sub-genres, westerns with Logan and stuff like that, and different little genres. And I feel that Derrickson imparted some horror into the MCU. So this is a guy who understands this genre. He understands how to craft a good, scary movie. And Blumhouse are a producer, a studio that know how to make horror movies on a budget. And this story sounds perfect, man. He's locked in a room, a basement. It's staying with the blood of half a dozen other murdered children, as you did say. That sounds perfect for Blumhouse. It sounds perfect for Scott Derrickson. Blumhouse make movies which are set in houses. One tiny little house. Invisible Man, in a sense, was set in a series of small little claustrophobic areas, and they make it for $8-9 million, and they make huge money on it. And I think this is a coup as well, Stephen, for the studio. I mean, for them to, I'm going to you, for them to entice a Scott Derrickson into their production, onto their movie, I think that shows you, kill myself here. That shows you where they've developed as a brand over the last 5, 6, 7 years. This was a studio that was kind of slagged off in some quarters for making crap movies. They'd make one good movie and then they'd make a dozen shite movies. Now they've really started to blossom. We've had the likes of The Invisible Man, we've had Upgrade, a series of other really good movies, mostly drama, thriller, sort of horror movies. And now they're able to entice a Scott Derrickson, a guy who's worked for Disney, and who's doing another high-charged sort of horror movie set in the Bermuda Triangle with, I think, Chris Evans. That's some catch for Blumhouse. I think it sounds perfect. I love the sound of the story. My favourite horror movies are these kind of things. I'm not even saying it's a horror movie, they're saying it's a thriller. Yeah. But I think it will have horror elements, and it sounds perfect.
John,
that's
like
Green Room.
That's my kind of horror anyway, this thriller.
Hush as well.
When I did read the description, it did remind me a bit of 1408 in there as well. But you're right, I think it's a coup for Blumhouse. But Derrickson, he's going back to obviously what he enjoys doing most, first and foremost, and obviously working with his long-time collaborator Robert Cargill. So you've got the right ingredients there for the people behind. We've not got any cast, and we have obviously Madeline McGraw and Mason Thames who will star, but that's as far as it goes with anything else getting released. It's always a small cast,
and it's unknown, relatively unknown actors.
Elizabeth Shue, they don't have to pay a lot of. Elizabeth
Shue, is it?
Shue, no, that's from Karate Kid.
No, I'm thinking about
Elizabeth
that.
Moss, yeah.
But
you're right. It's
Elizabeth Shue in. That name rings a bell.
She's in Back to the Future.
Back to the Future too.
She's in quite a lot of films.
That's right. She was the stand-in. Better look stand-in.
Yeah, that's Jennifer.
Oh, is she? Is that the one that's aged better?
I think she's aged better.
Yeah, she's a better looking one then.
Apart from that wig, but. You're right, John. I think the cast it's always a very small cast. They have it anyway, and sometimes that works for the best. And the best Blumhouse films for me are the ones that are contained in a small environment as well. So it works well to have a small cast. So I'm looking forward to this, John. I don't think we actually have a release date or anything like this just now, but I'm looking forward to it. My
producing skills are terrible tonight, Stephen. I keep going to you and then you're done with your conversation. I'm absolutely doing a horrendous job of producing this show. We need to get a producer in to produce the scene changes. I just can't do it. But Steve, there you go, Harley. Get the Labrador in. He can't do any worse. Let's be honest, he's absolutely a nervous wreck just now. Anyway, so maybe that'll settle his nerves. Shaking, not stirred.
I'm looking forward to Wednesday's show, John.
Oh yeah, it's going to be fantastic.
Fireworks going off.
He will be a wreck. He'll be hiding downstairs or in the toilet. But Steve, man, final thing I would say about this: do you think this is the right step for him after the whole nonsense with Marvel and the MCU getting sacked in a sense? Also, they brought on Sam Raimi. I'm not saying he gets sacked, but he kind of did. They didn't like him going down this horror route. It really turned it into an out-and-out horror, the multiverse of madness. Do you think this is the best thing? I mean, I know you kind of touched on it, him getting back to his roots. Do you think this is the best? Because some directors can get pigeonholed or typecast just like an actor in a specific genre. Sometimes the best thing for them is to step out of their comfort zone and do something different. Do you think it's the correct thing, him getting back time again to thriller horrors?
He's done the Marvel thing anyway now. He's got nothing to prove. And a very good film as well. One of my favourites. But I think he's got nothing to lose. This is a win-win situation for the director and the production company. So I don't really see any massive negative effect on his career or anything like that, choosing this film.
Especially if it's more thriller.
And I think, you've got to keep working, But I think just having that director in there, having the same writer that he's worked with time and time again, and obviously the production company, who are really famous for making, how can I say, maybe about 2 good films out of 10. But when you get Scott Derrickson, it's a different story, and the story as well is intriguing as well. But I'm looking forward to it. But we're going to move on, John, to another story coming in from Empire. Just before my computer freezes there, this is Jordan Peele producing a remake of The People Under the Stairs. This is very interesting. While Wes Craven always played down the idea that his 1991 horror, The People Under the Stairs, is a political satire, but given some Daniels' character's resemblance to the Reagans, it was hard not to see it as comment, and word that Jordan Peele is backing a remake has us thinking that the social commentary will be ramped up. Certainly will with Jordan Peele there. The original film is Berserk saga of an LA kid who stumbles into the house of Mommy and Daddy Robeson and finds a community of cannibal children hiding in the cracks. Gimp-suited craziness abounds. Craven was developing a TV adaptation before his death in 2015, but now it will be back on the big screen thanks to Peele, as I said earlier, Peele, and his Monkey Paw Productions partner, Win Rosenfeld. Collider has no details yet on whether Peele would end up directing work on the script or simply act as producer. I don't know why they mentioned Collider there. This is
maybe they're breaking a story.
It could be an
and
interview.
Empire are plagiarising the shit out of it.
And then we're doing the same.
Yes, absolutely. But we're a movie news show. We're not in the publication industry.
No, exactly. But I think, John, it's a good
good fit.
A good fit. That's the word. I was going to say a good match, but it's a good fit. Jordan Peele. This is his kind of thing as well. This is where he excels. You mentioned it, John, with the likes of Us. But what's your take on this? What's your feelings on this? Is this something that interests you?
Absolutely, Stephen. I've not seen the original People Under the Stairs, but certainly watched the trailer, and the concept that you read out certainly tickles my fancy, if you like. The concept of cannibalistic kids hanging around in the shadows in this house. Some satire sprinkled in. I think the best genre for satire at times is horror. You can really go to town on certain individuals in society, because it's a horror show we're living in just now, Stephen. Let's be honest. And Michael Bay, I think he's doing a pandemic set movie capturing the full horror of what we're living through.
Not going down well with a lot of people, John.
Yeah, it's not, because he's kind of picturing a post-apocalyptic society where we keep getting into lockdowns every year, every few months for 4 years. We're never out. We're not even out at 4 or 5 years after it starts, and people don't even want to think that that's a possibility. We want this over and by with. So certainly this genre can be done. You mentioned it with Us and also Get Out. This guy knows how to do satire based horror movies, and what I like about this guy is he does give representation to other people too. He primarily uses people of colour in his cast, and that's something we spoke about recently with Michael B. Jordan. I think somebody else potentially, I think it was Michael B. Jordan, no, I'm pretty sure.
Ryan Coogler
as well.
Yeah.
Michael B. Jordan starting a production company, Ryan Coogler, offering up chances for people coming up to perhaps have a career as an actor where otherwise they wouldn't have done in maybe Hollywood 10, 15, 20 years ago, because it was whitewashed to hell, let's be honest. So this guy offers a chance, and look, he will do a slant on it. It will be truly unique. I know he's not directing it, he is producing it, so maybe I'm getting too excited here. And we'll need to wait and see who he brings on. Maybe it will be a Nia DaCosta, I think, who done Candyman, and get someone of that ilk, a supremely talented up-and-coming director in, again, from a minority background, so he's offering so much opportunity, which is a good thing in this day and age. But we do need more representation behind the camera, in front of the camera. So many people being irked by the Oscars and introducing new sort of categories and things you need to take.
There'll be a lot of people.
Incredibly easy to do it.
John, there'll be a lot of people that will prefer him being, in a producer role rather than director, because there was a bit of a backlash with Us. Let's be honest with you, wasn't there? Yeah, I liked it as well. I think a lot of people didn't like the ending. I think that's what it was, wasn't it?
People don't like to think, Stephen. That's what it is.
Yeah,
they want it handed to them on a plate. They want their hand held throughout the process.
I think a lot of people felt robbed, as if they were tricked. I actually thought it was.
I liked it. They bought the long game and the concept of them switching, and that you aren't predestined to be something in this life underground. This clone version, if you like, this tethered version, that you can break out of the shackles and become something you're not meant to be, in a sense. And this is what the guy does. He does satire, something that's really pertinent to modern day society. He picks off little things and he brings it into his movies brilliantly. So, and this is a guy, Stephen, that started off in comedy. All these great horror directors,
but there is always humour in his films, John. Even in the most tense scenes in Us, I felt that there's a lot of comedy. They're very dark.
There's some funny moments in that as well, just visually and other sort of story elements. Maybe it's just because these actual comedians are horror shows themselves, Stephen, the likes of Robin Williams. They hold dark secrets within their psyche.
Borderline tragedies.
Borderline tragedies, and they try to make other people laugh to perhaps cover up from their own darkness and stuff like that. I'm getting deep here.
You're getting very deep,
Getting deep, man. But Stephen, I like the sound there. I like the sound of the movie. It'd give me an opportunity to watch another remake of a movie which is perhaps okay, but can be better, like Pet Sematary recently.
Yeah.
Original movie, apparently decent. I don't know if the new one bettered it. I never seen the original, but I like the new one.
So I think, well, the old one was more. See, it's not aged. Let's just say, but there's something a bit more terrifying about it.
And again, that's because of that era, Stephen, the sort of stop motion and not relying on CGI and stuff like that. It had a degree of realism, Terminator and stuff like that. Even though it was clearly not real, it's something about it, practical. But yeah, but man, I like the look of this. I'm excited. But of course, it will depend on who he brings in to direct the movie. I don't think they've told us who's going to be directing the movie as of yet.
Not yet, no.
So it'll all sort of balance on that. If we can get another Nia DaCosta, then I'm sure we're on for something good here.
It'll be very interesting to see, John, but I think you could be barking up the right tree. But we're going to move on, John, to our final topic. This is actually just broke about an hour ago.
Yes.
So we
hastily put the graphic in.
Yeah, we couldn't headline it because it was already set up. So looks like Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is about to start filming. This is coming from Cinema Blend, and I'm just going to scroll down here and read a little bit because something I never realised. It's in connection with obviously Elizabeth Olsen's character, Wanda, and
Wanda Maximoff.
Yeah, the contents of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness are currently a complete mystery, but the title shows that the multiverse is being tackled in Sam Raimi's MCU debut. Now, John, it's just underneath that graphic. There are countless theories about how this will turn out, especially with the Benedict Cumberbatch's character also having a role in Spider-Man 3. The upcoming movie will also directly tie in with WandaVision on Disney+, so the crossover possibilities seem endless. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness will mark the first film appearance for Scarlet Witch outside of the Avengers franchise. I'd never even thought of that, and will therefore have the appropriate time to spend on the character. And when factoring WandaVision, it's clear that the MCU has big plans for Elizabeth Olsen's signature character.
Why not?
Excuse me, I'm slurring my words now because I'm very tired.
Steve, you've had 3 hours sleep.
Yeah, we'll just have to see how it all shakes down when official announcement comes from the studio. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is currently expected to arrive in theatres on March 25th, 2022. Seems a lifetime away. In the meantime, check out our 2020 release list to plan your next movie experience. I don't think I will do that, Cinema Blend, but thanks for asking.
There's no need
anyway
to plan until we actually get out of this pandemic, because things will keep shifting, Steve.
Yeah.
Steve, this is exciting news, man. I've told you, I wish they'd delay WandaVision 2 next year, in between Spider-Man 3 and Multiverse of Madness, because I feel like those 3 projects are all going to be interconnected, intrinsically, closely related with this whole multiverse stuff, and characters flipping in and out. We know Stephen Strange is going to be in Spider-Man 3. We know he's going to be in WandaVision. Yeah. We know that Wanda Maximoff is going to be in Multiverse of Madness. So they're all going to be interconnected, and I just felt like they've missed a trick there, releasing these 3 back to back, because you're immersing yourself in this story. You watch Spider-Man 3, you follow the next conclusion, perhaps from a different angle, and then you go into Multiverse of Madness and it all comes together. This is also going to be key, man. I've said before, I think Doctor Strange, I think Benedict Cumberbatch is going to be the key to this next phase. They're going cosmic. They're going in a different route. And this guy holds sort of...
They're going mystic.
They're going mystic.
Yeah.
He's a wizard.
Yeah.
As Tony Stark famously says, you're embarrassing me in front of a wizard. So he's the key character. This guy can go across dimensions. So I think he's going to be absolutely massive moving forward. People are looking for...
Yep. Sorry.
Yes, Beastie Boys. People are looking for the next sort of Tony Stark, the next Steve Rogers, and I think we've already got it. We've got it with perhaps Peter Parker and Doctor Strange and Wanda Maximoff.
Captain Marvel? No,
Captain Marvel, not a chance, man. She's not even an interesting character. Let's be honest.
She's only had one film. Calm down.
You have to build the character.
Yeah.
And we've got Peter Parker, man. If we can negotiate a deal with Sony again, Marvel, that is we. I'm not we. Yeah. Then move him forward.
Do something about it, John.
Yeah, do something about it. If I was in charge, you'd be there for 10 years, Stephen, at least. But I feel him and Wanda Maximoff too, traditionally in the comics, really strong characters. Scarlet Witch, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man.
We saw what she was capable of in Endgame, John.
Yeah, slap Thanos about with an empty tracksuit.
So she nearly had him.
This was a demigod, this guy.
He had to pull down... what was it? The cannons? Start firing the cannons, wasn't it? He was taking out his own people.
That was after he slapped Captain Marvel away.
Yeah.
Like an empty tracksuit.
I like Scarlet Witch, I've got to be honest with you, John. But it'll be interesting. I take it she'll not be appearing in Spider-Man 3. The connection is obviously Doctor Strange.
Not yet. It's not been confirmed.
It intrigues me why Doctor Strange is in Spider-Man 3. You know, if nothing's been confirmed. Yeah, you hear that? If nothing's been confirmed with the likes of Garfield or Billy Maguire, why is he there? Are we going to get Miles Morales? Is this their portal into seeing what Sony might want to do with Miles Morales? Who knows?
Morbius, Venom, Spider-Gwen. Stephen, I think we will get Tobey Maguire. I think we'll get Andrew Garfield. I think it's going to be balls to the ball crazy.
I don't want Tobey Maguire playing Uncle Ben, though.
No, he has to play Spider-Man.
Yeah. Have you read that one?
No.
That he's going to play your man Tom Holland's version of Peter Parker's uncle in a flashback. No, don't give me that. He is Peter Parker.
You bring back Tobey Maguire, he has to play Peter Parker from a different dimension. Stephen, you says it yourself, Doctor Strange is coming into this movie. Why would they bring him in if there's not going to be some multiverse shenanigans going on?
Yeah.
We know Electro's coming back. Sinister Six are involved in some way. Vulture, this other guy, what's he called, this Scorpion or something?
I can't remember. We went through them all.
That scene, that end credits scene. And Marvel don't drop the ball at that. This isn't another Deathstroke at the end of Justice League or whatever the hell it was. They don't drop the ball at that, Marvel. They know their shit, and they will use that character. Everything will have some use in this movie. I think this will be the Civil War of Spider-Man, and then it's going to be just ridiculous the interconnection with this multiverse, Doctor Strange, WandaVision. I can't wait for it, man. Can't wait for this Phase 5. You're moving the mic away, so I'm presuming you're done, Stephen. Make sure
that's my cue.
There you go, I've hit the right back.
That's my cue.
Thank God. So that is going to round up the show, because there's only so much sort of screaming little fan bitch, I'm going to call it, not fanboy, about Spider-Man and Multiverse of Madness that I can do. My anticipatory juices are flowing so much that we have a Nile in this room. But look at that, your rest, man. What is your... I don't know what that even means. What is your thoughts on the topics you've touched on today? What do you make of Sean Connery as a man? Yes, we're floating away. I should float right down the river into the end of this show, because it's getting dangerous, man. When you start waffling like this in live shows, it ain't good. But look, man, what do you make about the passing of Sean Connery? Also, we don't want to linger on it too much, man, because it gets a little bit strange. But are you like me? Do you want to celebrate the man's life, or do you find it sad, the loss of a guy? We didn't touch upon the whole nonsense that's broke recently, Stephen. I don't want to get down the whole dementia route. Just celebrate the guy as he was. I like to remember people as they were. But what's your thoughts on the passing of Sean Connery? What do you make about this story about Scott Derrickson working with Blumhouse? What's your thoughts on Jordan Peele remaking that strange movie from the 1990s, I believe? And finally, what do you make about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness starting filming? Are you excited for it, for the possibilities of this Phase 5? And at the end of the show, because my dog is absolutely killing us with the fumes coming out of his rear end. You can comment below what your thoughts are on any of the topics you've touched upon on the show tonight. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more movie news content like this in the future. And that's precisely what you'll get, guys. You'll get more movie news, me on my lonesome tomorrow. Hopefully more movie news, or I'm screwed. And we'll be back with Stephen and movie reviews and everything else in between. But look, as ever, until then, I'll bid you farewell. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.